a new horsepower out to the market and to your clients. And so I'm really excited to tell you all about it, and even more excited to get your feedback on it. This is our first webinar. This product just rolled out a couple of months ago, and we've been in beta test with about 10 clients. They seem to love it, and so now we need to really partner with an ecosystem to get this out there in a very disruptive, powerful way. So I thank you all for having that, I guess, optimism to think that there is a way to make your business even bigger, better, and stronger, and for you to adopt some of these new technologies and new methodologies to enhance your business. I'll just back up though and talk a little bit about why we got started. As Linda mentioned, I ran a research and insight practice at Oracle for about 7 years across Asia, across Europe, Middle East, and then back here in the States. And what I noticed along my journey in positioning advanced database technologies at very large companies around the world is that they're disappearing. Those large companies are having a very difficult time keeping up with the pace of change, and they hire folks like yourselves to help them come in and accelerate their learning and move faster. But it's a fact that that the average age of the Fortune 500 today is 10 years old, and it's a bit of a shocker, and it's only moving in one direction. It's even markets are moving faster, and competitors are leveraging new technologies, and this is the driver beyond it. We say that companies often operate in silos. You know, they were built for scale and not necessarily for agility, and so they need help. And I think that's what we try to help them with. But that's where we need to build an ecosystem of folks to advance their capabilities. So look, we came out with this product, okay? And from our standpoint, think of us as a tech-based Palo Alto startup. I'm sitting one block off of University Avenue in downtown Palo Alto. We've got a very lean team of about 15 people. Mind you, that was only 2 people this time last year. So we've been growing a tremendous amount in our first year. We now work with over 25 Fortune 500s, and we've validated that we're bringing a disruptive capability to market. And so I'll just highlight what some of those capabilities are. So first of all, the things that make us so successful is that, and you think about lean advisory boards, right? This is just groups of people. They're always hand selected, so that we're the only one in the market that will build teams to scope, to spec. So I just got off the call with a major automotive company that's looking to identify how to leverage more agile and lean Scrum and lean startup capabilities in their HR department. Well, in 3 days, we'll have assembled a team of folks that have done that, have done those deployments successfully. They'll apply, they'll explain what their experience is, and that customer by Friday of next week will have selected their 15th member for their advisory board. And they can go 2 ways with that. There's either an ongoing model or a project-based model, and I'll describe those shortly. But these are the attributes of a lean advisory board that makes it so disruptive. So first of all, it's very fast. We source, as I said, the experts to order any subject, and the more narrow, the better. We've done things from gummy bear technology as a delivery mechanism for vitamins. We've worked with ankle orthopedic foot surgeons. We've worked with gas detection in North Africa using fiber optics. The more narrow the subject, the better. The better for us, meaning the more passionate the experts are going to be, but also the more actionable the insights are, because it's not something you can just Google and find out. The other aspect is diversity and inclusivity. What's important to note here is that you want a team that's built to spec, but you don't necessarily want to have a homogenous team. What you're looking for is some balanced thinking. So we tend to attract the more systems thinkers. We've been accused of unlocking introverts. We've had a lot of success in the science-based regions of technology-based or of human behavior, of design thinking. And so all of these processes are always guided by professional facilitators that are, you might say, versed in the art of not only the problem or, versed, I guess, in the science of the problem, but also in the art of facilitation. And what's happening in these experiences, not only are they diverse in the expert group, but they're inclusive to that of the client. What we see, back to the overarching problem, is these companies aren't learning fast enough. And simply buying another Gartner report and saying, okay, we now understand that subject, is far from true. And what they need is more what I would call qualitative experiential learning. They need to be in touch with their target market or their target skill set that they're trying to acquire. And so getting their teams involved and giving them that firsthand experience is a key element of what makes this so powerful. And we always say, bring in the team that's going to be responsible to execute on this. This will be their opportunity to all get on a common language and begin to take accountability for the next steps. Finally, and most, I'd say there's two questions that we always get. One, where do you get the experts, and how secure is this? So I already talked about how we get the experts. We source them from the web to spec, and they're applying, and they come in based on their passions and curiosity and interest in innovating that space. But once we identify who they are and they apply, we're also putting them under confidentiality agreements. There's also IP rights that they have to sign off on, that anything they share is going to be the ownership and the IP of the client, of the host. And then finally, we scrub them for conflict of interest. So given the client's frictions or parameters of who they want us to avoid bringing in, we'll make sure that those conflicts of interest don't exist. And also conflicts of interest from the other side, right? So the experts are accepting the liability that their employer may not want them working on social platforms with other experts, in which case they take on that liability. They also take on the liability of what they share. They have to have rights to that information. But trust that most of the insights that we're working on aren't necessarily around discovering a new algorithm. It's more around gaining perspective. I want to understand the needs of my target market better. I want to explore, what solution providers are the best fit for my very specific scenario or the capability I'm trying to build. So in that, even though I'd say the context is benign, I'd say the advantage is all the control is in the hands of the facilitator, i.e., you, the consultant, and the client, right? So the client's anonymous. You, as their facilitator, are their mouthpiece to the group, to the hand-selected group. So and you can also add or remove people at any time, and so replacing advisors is a non-issue. And what's great is the way we operate is we'll work with a client today. By Tuesday of next week, they'll be looking at a talent pool and further refining the scope. And then by, say, Friday, they will have handpicked their last expert. Even at that point, they're not committed. So what we try to do is show all the ingredients required to move forward before they have to commit to it. And only then, if all the ingredients are there, do we move forward. So did we want to do that or no?
Yeah.
Sorry. So, so what are these good for, right? And these lean advisory boards, their primary use case is to detect competitive threats and opportunities on an ongoing basis. Okay, and I already mentioned we have two products. One is on an ongoing basis. The other is a 4-day sprint. The lean advisory boards on an ongoing basis are really to act like a radar to make sure that, hey, in this fast moving space, I need to know that I'm up to speed on the latest. And what this does, though, is it puts a relationship between you and your client that's on an ongoing basis. So it does not compete with what you do best, and that is help them or aid them through getting to those actionable steps. What we focus on is figuring out where to invest, where to do your research, where to put those investment dollars. And so what we anticipate is that by you building this into your repertoire, by positioning these ongoing advisory boards with your clients, you're going to have an ongoing relationship with your client that's going to pull through more projects, more of your projects. You're welcome to manage those projects on Convetit as well, but it's our experience that the value that you bring and the process that most freelance consultants enjoy is that face-to-face. So I don't want you to feel like we're taking that away from you, but rather giving you an ongoing virtual relationship so that you can identify more of those face-to-face projects to conduct. And what this is going to do, the nature of these ongoing advisory boards is you're going to be aiding them in identifying those areas that are most strategic. So it really puts you in the boardroom level issues. Say, for example, think about this. Most of our advisor boards are on subjects of virtual reality, machine learning, cloud-based technologies that are going to transform our industry. How is IoT impacting smart packaging? Given the industry, I could rattle off 5 or 6 use cases that are so leading edge, they are peering into the future constantly. And you could be that guide for your client. And you can imagine through that process, you're going to identify some of the projects that they need to execute on and need to then figure out, how do we make this actionable? That's where your competency comes in. And then so ultimately, we believe this is going to increase revenue for your business and for ours. So it's a new capability. It's not a capability that should overlap, but rather complement your skill sets. And just to bring some clarity around our two offerings, right? So I talked about the ongoing advisory board. We're nicknaming that or calling that our discovery lab. And that's the main subject of today's call, the left-hand side of this slide. It's there to identify competitive threats and disruptive technologies. It's ongoing, it's virtual. It means you don't have to travel during this portion. And there's really no meeting. So all the engagement happens online. You being a trusted advisor already of your clients, what you do is, you may have a kickoff call with them. You may have a quarterly check-in. In fact, we're going to produce a quarterly report of what they've learned over the quarter of their ongoing advisory board. And that's work that we do. And it's beautiful, custom infographic-based type reporting where you're going to have control over that artwork. It's going to be branded your company. And so we're a powered by model. We're there to make you look good to your client, bring them a new capability that's going to drive more revenue back to you. And then the other product are the Sprint Labs. And these are online design thinking workshops. This has been our core product up until now. So the Discovery Labs are new. But for the past year, we've been providing these design thinking workshops online through our facilitator network. And while this is also a capability that you can bring to your client, it doesn't have to replace what you currently do. And so it's your option when you identify those key trends with your client. If it's about convening external experts and you think a virtual path is the way to take it, please then position a Sprint lab with your client. You can still be the facilitator through that process. We can train you on how to do that. And it's got some very distinct values there. It's great. And by the way, just going back to that last slide, the idea, our concept is that by doing the ongoing discovery board, the discovery lab, you're going to identify opportunities that then produce more sprints or more workshops for yourself. So I hope that's clear. And you know, this is our vision, right? That companies do just that they discover to then want to then validate and then iterate. And so it's this cycle that we feel companies need to be doing more of. This probably looks like, reminds you of lean startup. This is the process of innovation in its most simplest form. And that is the main point there, isn't it, Linda? Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Thanks for that. So look, I wanted to share some of the economics to give you an idea of sort of what we're thinking about our relationship with this reseller, you might think, ecosystem. So now, Linda, correct me. Is this the slide? Help me understand this. So frame this.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So this is when Convetit has a client and we reach out to you to be a facilitator. So in this example, if you're a facilitator for a discovery lab.
So this is us bringing them a deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're describing here is it's a quid pro, or it's a what do you call it? A quid pro quo. It's a bilateral or a give and take relationship, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we have customers that come to us and we don't have internal facilitators. We still rely on our partner community. So every time we have, say I'm working with GE on a space of gas turbines. I don't have a gas turbine specialist on staff. We couldn't possibly handle so many subjects. So what we do is we engage the best fit consultant in our network of partners. And so we'll be doing that. We'll be bringing out projects to you when it's a good fit. And that's what these economics show, is what you're saying, right, Linda?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so on the discovery labs, we charge the client $5,000 and we're paying the facilitator $500 a month. Yeah. And in that, you know, there's 15 to 20 experts that we're also managing, compensating. We're setting them up. They're on our platform. So you can think of that as a license. For $5,000 a month, the client buys a license from us. Okay. And then we assign it to a facilitator. We pay the facilitator $500 a month. But what we're really wanting to do is help those clients find those projects to go work on. So when we bring you a client, the objective is we'd like you to work with the client to identify those sprints. Okay. And every sprint that you identify, we pay $2,500 back to the consultant. And then if you're the facilitator of that sprint lab, meaning it's on a subject that is right in your strike zone and you're the best one to facilitate, you earn another $2,500. So you can see that, and we have some facilitators on our platform that do a couple projects a month. And so you can see how the economics really work out. Someone could build a career on Convetit. But like I said, there's, what's the next message there, Linda? Sorry. So what we're aiming to do now is create a reseller model that is empower some of you to bring your clients in. And one thing that I understood from working in tech for 20 years, in all the companies I've worked with, they had partner channels that really grew their business and defined their go-to-market strategy. So I want you to know from our little company here, I understand how to build an indirect channel, and I understand that the main important thing is this is your client, and we're there to support you. And so in this model where you're bringing in the client, there's a lot of support, and there's an attitude that we're here to support you in that relationship. And so I want you to rest assured that in all cases, you own your client. In this case, you could continue to build them, right? In which case you'd be building them a license, a Convetit license. You may say, hey, go to Convetit and get your license and tag me as a facilitator. That's fine too. But the idea is you're positioning these ongoing advisory boards to your client. Okay. And then we'll provide you the sales enablement materials. If you need one of our sales guys to attend a meeting, that's fine. If you want them to dial into a conference call, that's fine. Again, we're here to support you and put you into the advisory board business overnight. Okay. And then we've been hard at work designing and implementing a facilitator portal, which will have all these resources, the sales enablement tools, how you initiate a referral, how you manage your client, all the billing, and account records from us to you. So that's just within a couple of weeks away. In the meantime, we want to start working with you to identify some of these opportunities and and empower you. And as I said, put you in this business.
Great. So as far as the next step, the first thing you should do if you're interested in partnering with Convetit and being a facilitator is to go to convetit.com and apply. You can apply to be a board member, an advisor, and there's a check mark on that form to indicate that you are interested in being a facilitator. Just a reminder to go ahead and submit your questions via the question chat window, and we'll be sure to get to those now. A couple of questions for you, Tom. The first one is, so how do I get trained or approved to be a Convetit facilitator? What's the process?
You're right. So, first thing, as Linda said, is identify that you're interested. We host these orientation calls where you'll essentially speak to a Convetit salesperson. Well, they'll talk to you a little bit about how the client engagement works. We'll be sharing with you candidly what we know about who buys these, why they buy them, the language to use, how best to position them, what materials are available in that process. You may have some initial clients that you want to talk about and think about how to best engage them. You may want us to aid you in that first step, but I think that's where it begins. It's let's see where the rubber hits the road, how this works for your business. There's a reseller agreement that we can forward to you, and you can get an idea of what that looks like. But I think it's really just the first step is a little bit of outreach, a little bit of discussion. We're not at the maturity to say it's a one size fits all. So let's talk about your practice and what's important to you.
Great. And then what qualifications do you look for in facilitators?
Good point. So there's two main things. We look for an industry specialty or a technical expertise, but some domain experience that makes you an obvious choice to facilitate. And then the other is the facilitation or management consulting experience. So what's important, of course, and I'm sure all of you folks, if you're consultants, you have this capability, but the capability to listen, project scope, which means problem definition, distill information carefully, and really just be a professional. So there's a bit of we're building a brand around this product. We want to make sure that we've got the right alignment, that it's not for just what I would call design thinking generalists. There has to be that sort of subject matter expertise combined with that skill set of facilitation and design thinking consultation.
Great. Another question which kind of relates to this slide is there are some people that are already facilitators on this call. So what's the next step for them if they're already a facilitator but they want to partner with us?
Get in touch with Linda. I feel like you should answer that.
Yeah, I should. So as far as the next step, if you already are a facilitator with Convetit, go ahead and send me an email at linda@convetit.com. Since we're just launching our kind of partnership reseller facilitator program, we'll get you in contact with a salesperson and we'll talk through the best way to partner and then also work out what clients you want to start introducing to us. Okay, well, I think that is it. I just wanted to open up to Tom if you have any other closing remarks.
Yeah, I think it's important to note. I was hoping we would have had a question around industries that we are particularly strong in. We find that there's a lot of industries that are being disrupted right now, but we find that the use cases are really strong in areas of manufacturing around subjects around IoT and how IoT is changing or how data is changing manufacturing. In life sciences, there's certainly a lot about IoT. There's a lot about machine learning. We've had a lot of queries recently around virtual reality and AI, artificial intelligence, particularly in the patient interaction. And then around clinical trials as well, how technology is changing clinical trials, how smart packaging is advancing quickly as well. So that's another sort of area that people are interested in keeping their finger on the pulse, understanding how smart technologies are impacting adherence. So life sciences is a very busy space for us. The other I'd say is in clearly material science, nanotechnology is a hotspot. We find that in consumer packaged goods is all about supply chain changes. Direct to consumer is a very hot subject as well. And then let's see.
One question came through. Are these the major industries that you're looking for facilitators, or are you open to all industries?
Oh, open to all industries. We're not saying we've seen it all. Is all I think aiming to do is provoke a little thought about, in the industries that you're most familiar, what are those leading edge issues that make most sense to align this with your client?
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay.
Oh, by the way, also, Linda, I just want to iterate that in this reseller model, if you buy a license for your client, for example, and you're going to bill them directly, say you're paying Convetit $4,500 for that license a month, you could, you're adding a layer on top of this, meaning your consulting service, you could package other services around this. You may be selling this for $10,000 a month to your client. So we're trying to leave plenty of room for you to be you and you to augment, our capability with your capabilities. So we're not going to oversteer how you position this with your client or what services you should package with it. But just realize the capability of bringing together teams of experts on any subject within a week's time on an ongoing basis using some really intelligent tools is now available to you. And one of the first things that we would do to get started is give you a demo of that tool and talk about your business. So if you're interested, reach out, let's have that conversation, and let's imagine what your business might look like, should you adopt this capability.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Tom. Really appreciate your comments. Just a reminder for everybody, if you're not a facilitator yet, please go to convetit.com and apply. Or if you are a facilitator and you want to learn more about specifically how to partner with us, go ahead and send me an email and we'll set up a call to discuss. So thanks, everyone, for attending, and have a good day.